Hello, good evening, my wonderful people. Today I am so happy, and I want to talk about something that has really inspired me. The commendation I got today was powerful. Sometime in 2020 precisely, during the COVID, I got so much bored at home reading, doing all sorts with the lockdown, and at a point I was like, what am I going to do? Will I continue to be there doing nothing, reading? There was nothing one could do, listening to news and getting negative news that was almost affecting one's mental health. At a point when the COVID was lifted a little, and because my business is such that it affected so much. I run a school, and children were the most vulnerable at that time, so the government was not ready to joke with them, and they were not allowed to go back to school, especially the nursery and the primary school. So it actually affected me so badly. But after a while, I have a tailor that I so much love, that is so young to me, that makes virtually all my clothes. And I called her. I said, babe, can I come? I want to learn tailoring. She laughed. She didn't take me seriously. She said, ma, how can you learn tailoring? You won't be able to learn. I said, me? I will learn, She thought I was joking. I said, can you give me the things I need to get, the amount I need to pay? It's not going to be for free. And that does not mean that you won't sew my clothes anymore. I will try my hands on certain ones. The ones I cannot get, I'll get to you, and you still make my dress. And she said, okay, ma, if you want to come, since we can now come out sometime little by little. I said, okay, I'll be coming the day I can. And I started. I started going to learn. The first time I came, I told her, I said, I am not going to stand like all your apprentices will do and be watching you do things without question. I'll write notes. I need to take some notes. I hope, and thank God she's educated. She can do normal pattern using pattern paper, and she could give me standard notes that I needed. And for everything she was doing, I got my notebook. I was writing notes. I was jotting down everything, Other apprentices, they'll just be watching. She wants to cut this thing. I say, ma. She said, mommy. I said, no, for now, you are my boss. I will call you ma. You are my teacher. She said, mommy. I said, no, leave the mommy aside. I have come to learn, and you are my boss. I'll call you my boss. Okay, you don't want me to call you ma. I won't do that, but I'll call you my boss. She laughed, and we started. I got my notebook, I got everything, I got my pattern papers, and we started. Everything I jotted down. I asked her one time, I said, can I take a video? Can I make videos when you are cutting, the practical aspect of it, so that if I read and I don't get what I am reading, I can go back to the video and I watch? And she said, ma, you are free to do that. And I started. I did a lot of videos. I learned cutting. I was doing it. 1 month before, it was about a month plus the lockdown, I could go back to work, but I was still trying as much as I could. Maybe weekends, if I have time, I go to her shop, and that was how it. After like 2 months, I couldn't cope again because of the enormity of my job. I stopped. But one thing I knew was that I have always been passionate about creativity. Maybe because of the Montessori training I have, and because of the kind of job I do. I do a lot of paper cutting, decorations, and all of that. And I put everything. And there's one thing I want to talk about today. Whatever, there is joy when you bring out something, when you create something, when you do something, and you can sit back and say, you did this. You'll be so happy. So, that was the energy I put into that sewing. And in less than 2 months, I could do so many things. And thank God for the power of internet today, the YouTube, a lot of practices online. With the basic training I got from my boss, I could make some things. I was making mistakes and all of that. But at a point, I said, no, I could do more of this. And as God so kind, my student went for a competition organized by Vision Springs Initiatives, and they won. they were giving 2 brand new sewing machines. I said, wow, Eureka, this is what I have been waiting for, because I was planning to go get some sewing machines so that I can have a hand-on practice to be able to put into practice what I have been taught theoretically and all of that. And that was the starting point. And I started making some small dresses I could make. The ones I did not get, I called her one from time to time. She will tell me how to go about it. Some I go on YouTube, I will listen. I download a lot of practical aspects of it, and I was listening and I was putting them into practice. One thing is this: I get pattern papers, I cut on papers before I put on the fabric in case there is an error. But you know, why am I bringing out this? In all of that, I've been making most of the dresses I wear. And when people see it, my pants, trousers, my palazzos, my shirts, my casual wears, I wear. And when people see it, they will say, Cody, I love what you are wearing. I said, I made it. And they never took me took me serious, you know. I said, I made one. So when did you start sewing again? I said, yeah. Is there anything you cannot do? I said, I try my hands on whatever I think I can do, and I put my mind to it, and I do it well. The first client I got was a mommy in the church that saw what I wore, a flowing dress that I wore, and she said, "You are going to, I love this your dress." I said, "Ma, I made it." She said, "You really did? Okay, get a fabric, make for me, and and then I will pay." So I got the fabric, but because I didn't want to charge, and I was so, what am I trying to bring out? I was so afraid. I told everybody that cared to listen, I didn't learn to make dresses because I want to make for people, not for commercial purposes, but for myself. Why? Because I was afraid. What if I make a mistake and spoil someone's fabric? What is going to happen? Will I go buy another one? So fear is a killer. Fear blocks you from moving forward. So I was so afraid of trying my hand on something, making for someone. Anybody that asks me, I say, I made my dress, but I don't sew for people. Why? Because I was so afraid they weren't going to be satisfied with it and all of that, you know. And that mommy said, do this your dress, I love it. And I took that bold step. I made that flowing dress, and she loved it so much. But still, I was still so much afraid. I kept telling people, I don't make dresses for people, I only sew what I wear. So we had our last women convention sometime this February, and I made the uniform we chose for that convention. I took my time. I made a beautiful dress for myself. I used a lot of appliques and I decorated it. It was so fine. I stoned it. I could do stoning, you know. I did stoning, and the people were like, and I'm gonna post some of those things I made so that you could see. You know, I was the anchor for that program, and that was, a lot of people said, you know, most people did something like a native and boo and all of that, but I did a very beautiful short dress because I was going to be the moderator for that occasion. I needed to do something that I could stand out. So I took my time. I said, wow, and this is uniform. What if it doesn't turn out well? What is going to happen? I said, well, I'm going to try my hand on it because I've learned it. You know, when you buy fabric, you give to tailor, the amount they charge, I give it to them because it's not easy to make dresses. So I took my time. I made that dress. Wow. Everybody were like, Star Cordelia, I loved what you wore on that day. I said, I made it. You know, I was so happy. I said, I made it. Why am I saying this? I want to encourage someone there. What is that thing God has given you? You've learned that you kept in the cooler. Please bring it out. It could fetch you money. It will definitely fetch you money. Not even that, it could fetch you money. So, you know, I did that and everybody loved it. And somebody else asked me to make for her. You know, out of fear. I told her I don't make dresses for people. I didn't want to because I was also scared. I didn't want a situation whereby somebody would say, yeah, it didn't fit in well. This place is not good. Because I personally, I can also be finicky when it comes to designs, the outcome of my clothes when I give to tailors. So that was the mindset. So I was so afraid. I didn't want people to complain. But if you don't fail, if you don't make mistake, how are you going to get better? So I kept pushing. I kept making all my dresses. I was making all my dresses. Second one, I made another beautiful outfit for one of our conferences again, and people saw it. And the last one I made also, I attended a women hangout organized by Ifeonyebule, and the dress I wore, the pants I wore that day with the top, is a pant and a top, very beautiful. I made it. It was so awesome. And I was telling my fellow lady beside me, Antonia, I said, do you know I made this thing I'm wearing? She said, really? Yes. I said, I do it as a pattern, but people are beginning to ask me that whatever I make people want to wear, whatever I make people want to wear. And then, you know, one of my aunties, I so much respect her, because she has always been a very big influence on me, and she has always motivated me so much. So she now gave me a fabric. I say, you must make this dress you wore, exactly what you wore. I want you to make it for me. She gave it to me. For the past 2 months I kept it. Fear. She kept asking me, Cordelia, you've not made my dress. I said, I'll do it. You've not made my dress. He said, okay, return it if you don't want. I even told her that, let me just choose something else and make for you. Say, that particular design you wore is what I want. She, you know, when she now said, return my fabric if you don't want to make it, I was ashamed of myself. And I said to myself, Cordelia, you can't do it. Damn this fear. You can do it. Take your time, because she is a very respectable woman. I don't want to make something that she will not like. You know, I just took my time. I got the fabric, I got the lining for it. I took my time. I got the hairstay. I may be calling all of those things. I took my time. I called my daughter. I said, as I am cutting, we are going to iron. This one is something I'm going to give to someone. So I have to take my time. And we took our time, and I made the dress. After making the dress, I gave it thorough ironing. I ironed it so much. I got the applique, I put on it, and I took it to her this morning. And I folded it. I said, Auntie, this is your dress. She said, finally, thank God. I said, okay. I left. But within me, I was like, God, I hope it will turn out well. So this evening, she sent me beautiful love messages. Said, my beautiful sister, you made such a beautiful dress for me. God will beautify your life. My head was swelling. I began to blush. I said, ma, I hope I tried. He said, you didn't, not just more than try, you did perfectly. You have so much improved your sewing skills. You know, I was moved. She said she loves it. She loves it. And for you to beautify me, God will beautify you. I was so happy. So damn that fear. You know, I was so happy. And that is why I'm making this video today. Encourage yourself. You can do it. I did it. You can do it. I made up my mind. I will go into real fashion. If I need more training, you know, for perfection, I will do that. I will do that. I would definitely do that. I am going to have I was something that I put on my Facebook page sometime, and I said, did I forget to tell you that my outfit is styled by yours truly, Cody? And that is going to be my trademark, styled by Cody. And that is going to be a boom, because that fashion house, yes, we are going to go global. And she said something. He said, you have such potentials that will be recognized globally. And I got it. I said yes. I will be recognized globally as a fashion guru, as a designer, as a good dressmaker. And I'm going to be looking up to people in the industry that have done wonderfully well for themselves. And I don't mind learning. I am open to learning. I can learn at any time, because yes, I love creativity. I love trying my hand in so many things. And that is why I've come to say, thank you, Jesus, for giving me the grace to damn that fear. Now I'm out. If you have any dress you want to make, please contact yours truly, Cody, styled by Cody. Thank you.